hiring the best people is actually going to ruin your business. That might sound like pure insanity if you've been consuming how to hire top talent content online. I mean, this stuff gets pumped out daily and serves the recruiter model more than anyone else. I'm probably not going to make my staffing agency friends very happy right now, but here goes. If you've ever hired that rock star employee and things still fell apart, then you probably already know what I'm talking about. In this video, I'm going to show you why chasing top talent isn't always the best move and what you should be doing instead. So picture this, okay? You've hired somebody amazing. On paper, they had everything. They had the great educational background, they had recommendations, the experience, the credentials, and then something like 6 months later, poof, the person's gone. And you're stuck wondering what went wrong. Yeah, you're not alone. So everywhere, you're gonna see content that says, hire the best, hire A players, top talent, only hire the best of the best. But check this out. If you hire these quote unquote best people without thinking about what's actually best for your organization, at your size, at this scale, at this point in time, it's going to wreck your business. And I'm not just talking about budgets either. Let's break this down. So I've already said the best person on paper may not be the best person for you. Consider some possibilities. Maybe they came from a big corporate job and they're struggling in your smaller organization. They did one thing in one big company very well, and now they have a whole lot more stuff to do. And that one thing that they do very well on itself is not very useful to you. And maybe, just maybe, that corporate job beat all the creativity they had right out of them. And they don't work very well when you don't have the exact answer to their very direct questions. Maybe they used to have a team working with them, maybe some assistants, and maybe now they're just uncomfortable working solo with all the responsibility for their role sitting right on them. Maybe they miss having big corporate budgets and don't work very well with financial constraints, and they don't work very well bootstrapping. Maybe they don't feel comfortable having to create systems in your organization for the very first time, considering at their bigger corporate job, that system was already in place for them, and the most that they were probably doing is making minor improvements and adjustments to it. Maybe they're just crazy talented but have a big ego to go along with it. And that's not something that people in your organization are willing to put up with. Suddenly that superstar hire doesn't seem like such a great idea now, does it? If they're still with you at this point, they're either frustrated, making demands that seem pretty unreasonable to you, but pretty reasonable from where they're coming from. Complaining about being under-resourced, or maybe they just walk out the door. Maybe they had another job lined up after they figured out what you offer isn't really what is good for them. And now you're back to square one. Oh, you're not back to square one. You're actually negative because of all the time wasted, all the lost productivity, and all the actual financial expenses incurred in the search and hiring of this person. Not to mention all the taxes and wages that were consumed as sunk costs, never to be recovered, that person walked out the door with. So you just wasted probably about half a year on a big bet that didn't work out. So I just mentioned some of the costs. Let's break down the costs of this big bet. Hiring people who are considered to be elite at what they do comes with a pretty big cost, a huge price tag. And it ain't just about the salary either. They want top tier benefits. They want wellness programs. They want flexible time and PTO. If they're early to mid-career, they're probably going to want training programs that are paid for by the organization. If they come from the tech industry or have worked at startups, they may be looking at you like they want some stock options, or they want equity in the organization as a true motivator. They may be looking for bonuses, quarterly, regularly, annual. They may be looking for additional holidays in addition to the regular paid holidays that may already be available at your organization. In short, they may be looking for a level of support that your business isn't necessarily ready for yet, whether that mean financially ready or otherwise. Maybe you're actually in the process of securing these benefits for these employees, but you're not there yet. Maybe at this point, you aren't financially able to fund an entire retirement program, for example. And probably the worst part of this whole thing is if they actually, after sitting in the role for a while, realize that they may think that they're too good for getting their hands dirty in the actual role, to the point where they're not even motivated to do the work that actually needs to get done on a day-to-day basis. The work that they wanted actually doesn't exist in your organization. So then they'll feel like they got sold a false bill of goods and they'll walk on out. So sometimes hiring the best is actually a culture killer. Yeah. Let's talk about culture for a second. One bad hire can ruin a team. Yes, it can. Even if they're insanely talented. I would say, especially if they're insanely talented, if they don't buy into your mission, they'll question everything you do. That's the first thing. The second thing, if they think they're some kind of all-star, they might start looking down on their other team members, other employees at your organization. They may even look at you, owner, operator, business manager, director level. They may even look at you like you may not be qualified for the role you're in. And if they feel like they're too good for the role, here's what you can expect: a lot of tension, a lot of attitude, and resentment. So when you are in a position of crafting performance for an organization, you are crafting performance for that organization. Even if your specific organization is a piece of an organization, a department, a team, a cell, you know what I mean? So it's not going to be about any individual person. It's going to be more about how each individual factors into that team to make it work. And the only time that's not true in employee and team performance is if you are a solopreneur, meaning you only have one person at your organization and it's you. And then this whole conversation is moot. It doesn't need to happen yet. I would say the other exception is if you had a mom and pop business where everybody who works there is some sort of family. And even then, if your family doesn't know how to work out their issues, the business is going to be on a fast decline. I've seen nepotism and other types of family business related issues crumble it from the inside out. That's not anything you want to be a part of. So I did all this talking. You're probably wanting to know how to resolve this. What's the solution? How do I fix this? So if I shouldn't be hiring the best, who should I be hiring? Hire the right people. But Cody, that's a stupid answer. You made me wait this long in the video to tell me that? Yes, I do mean simple, but not simple and easy to do in real life. So when I say simple, I mean basically these things: alignment, coachability, and culture. Remember this: alignment, coachability, and culture. So let's talk about alignment first. Skills matter, but being aligned with the organization actually matters more. Don't just hire for experience, hire for mindset, work ethic, and adaptability. Yes, these are things that you can screen for during the hiring process in recruitment before their day one. Yes, someone just doing something for a long time doesn't actually necessarily make them actually good at it. It just may make them a lifer. And while we're talking about potentially age and seniority, do not discriminate against age, by the way. You should also take people who have specialization into consideration. Again, going back to skills and adaptability, yes, people who have been doing something for a long time, you have to look for something special in them. How deep did they actually go into that role? And if they have to pivot in their role, is there any evidence that they can actually make pivots? Look for, in these very skilled people, continuous improvement, a history of re-educating themselves and improving the organization and the role that they're in. That second thing, coachability. Look for coachability, not just competence. So not just if they're good at their job. A slightly less experienced but more hungry employee will most likely outperform a very qualified yet disengaged one. For people with more experience, look for the ability to make decisions and receive feedback well. That one thing, the ability to receive feedback and to give feedback as well, and working it back into how they do things, this is gold. This is gold. This is probably, I would say, one of the most important things to look for when you hire somebody is their ability to receive and give feedback. Much more important than any past accolades or reference or referrals, and certainly more important than spending a big chunk of their career hiding behind the brand of a giant corporation. Look for people willing to challenge the status quo. Yes, that will give you a headache sometimes, as they won't often just respond to a request you make with a simple head nod. They will ask questions. You like people who ask questions. Particularly, look for this. People who may have worked in the system before and seen how it can be improved, or people who think critically and can bring big ideas, and their comfort level with bringing ideas. Now, I did say that third thing was culture, and it's not a buzzword here. Culture fit. If people's values don't align with the stated values of your organization, they'll always feel like an outsider, and belonging will always be an issue for them. Think of it like this. Imagine you're building a sports team like basketball. Now, if you want a championship team, are you just gonna hire the most expensive scorers? No, you hire the right mix of players that work together. Look for what's missing in your team. So when we're talking about culture and a quote unquote culture fit, which is a word I hate, you're looking for culture additive. One thing I never do, and I hate when I hear it, is to go off and look for culture fit. No, go for culture expansion. Go for culture additive. Add to your team what you don't yet have. Do as your customers do, your clientele. Buy for need, not luxury, especially when you have constraints. Then when you've started to craft that kind of team, you can build the best from them. You can train folks centered around what you need, the skills you need, the assortment of team skills that you need, and then you can orchestrate how they're going to work best. By doing that, you create your own kind of secret sauce, not just replicating what you saw work in another organization or what somebody else saw that they think works in another organization. I will say there are some exceptions to the don't hire the best advice. Now, obviously, you want the best scientists, doctors, and lawyers, especially since these are more specialist type jobs. They go very deep in their field and don't necessarily work with a team. You know, when I think about it again, I would add some military type of roles to that. So forward combat operating specialists and intelligence type of folks. Yeah, they're actually not an exception, because you still have to develop them and they're still dependent on other people, even if they are not next to those team members. Every dynamic I just mentioned works in those examples. So those are not actually exceptions. Another thing is, when those specialists get deeper into their careers, they find that they have to work within the bounds of a team. Think about a surgical practice, for example. A single person is not conducting surgery in 2025. You need that secret sauce of those three things instead of just the best surgeon. The best surgeon can only go so far if they don't have competent nurses and physician assistants working with them. But moving those exceptions aside, let's say you're hiring a marketing manager. No, you absolutely don't need the best. You don't need the hottest in the game, I promise you. You need somebody in that situation who's aligned with your organization, can quickly Snap on to what it is your organization actually needs to be doing to improve its marketing, that they can take and receive feedback. Feedback is a very specific ability, especially in marketing. The entire marketing profession is built off of feedback and feedback data. So there goes coachability. And then being culturally additive. Have them bring something new, something unique, something that you can't necessarily get by just hiring another equally qualified person. Something that you can't just get by blindly hiring people. Something that allows you to either expand into new markets or reach new customers. So there you have it. Don't hire the best, build the best, train the best, coach the best, and allow them to shine through what they naturally bring to the table. I hope this makes it easier for you to choose your next hire. And I also hope that this reduces how long it takes you to bring your next team member on, and reduce the amount of time that it takes for your people to make a hiring decision. Think about this. In 2025, with all the advancements that we have in technology, specifically hiring technology, and all the awesome candidates that we have out here in the marketplace for people, services, and talents, these hiring decisions, they need to start happening lightning fast. And as businesses, we're starting to run out of excuses for hiring processes to be so miserable and sluggish and slow. Does this mean you should actually stop hiring great people? No, it doesn't. But here's what needs to stop. Hiring blindly for past accolades, exclusive schools, or the fang, blue chip, big four type of bubble of hiring, participation prize in big companies alone, that's a recipe for disaster. That is what can get you to crash your business. That's how you can make a catastrophic hiring decision and then be stuck with the after results. And just one more note on exclusive accolades and things of that sort. Don't get wowed by these sort of qualifications that are now pretty easy to be faked. They got international cheating networks now dedicated to fooling people just like you into thinking they went to big exclusive schools, that they worked at some of the top organizations in the world, and they probably know that you're not going to verify. A lot of these calls can easily be faked. So my recommendation here is to make sure that every hire has their background verified thoroughly, so you know what you're getting into when you hire somebody. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, then just do me a quick little favor and hit like and subscribe for some more real talk. Later.